I would like to go first.
Like, Spike Jones and the City Slickers, a very popular comedy band in the 40s and 50s and early 60s. And one of my heroes, I've borrowed a lot of things from him, like all the crazy instruments and the sound effects and things like that. Whenever possible, I try to have a little nod to Spike. I think to this day it might be my most popular original song. It's a pastiche or a style parody where it's not a direct parody, but it's meant to sound like an artist or a group. A lot of my pastiches aren't necessarily based on how popular an artist is. It's based on my personal love of their body of work. And I'm a huge Devo fan, and I was like, I want to write a song like Devo would write. And Dare to Be Stupid was the result of that. For the video, we tried to use as many Devo-isms as we possibly could. We studied every single video that Devo put out. There's the yellow radiation suits. There's the scene with the kind of pantyhose pulled over their faces. I made a list of, like, a woman cutting a kiwi, just like random things that we thought, like, oh, that's something Devo might do. Why not? When I originally wrote the song for the Running with Scissors album, I would write pages and pages of notes, and here's an idea, and here's an idea, and here's an idea. And I thought, okay, now I got to cut this down to song length. And that's when I thought, no, I'm not going to cut it down. I'm just going to do the whole thing. I really thought nobody's going to listen to this more than once. I made it on purpose as long and as obnoxious as I possibly could. I was basically trolling my fans, saying like, oh, you want a long song? And it goes on forever. It wound up being one of my most popular songs. Like, fans like, please play Albuquerque. Like, really? So we've been playing it live, and it just boggles my mind that people love that song. The first time I saw the Bad video, I think it was the world premiere of the Michael Jackson Bad video, I had the idea for Fat before the video was even over. You know, usually I really think a long time about my concepts and think of all the various options, but no, I had the idea immediately, because I just envisioned like this 900-pound guy trying to get through the turnstile in the subway, and I thought, oh, Fat, it's gotta be Fat. And it'll be like a sequel to Eat It. It just makes so much sense. I have to do this. I went back to Michael Jackson to make sure he was okay with it, and he was. And in fact, and this was amazing, he let us use his set. This time, it was actually Michael Jackson's set we were shooting on. And they were just about to strike it. They were just about to tear it down. And we found out, we said, no, no, let us shoot there. We did 2 days of shooting with the dancers and everything. And then the third day, we shot in the morning, which was only the face blowing up shot. And nowadays, that would be like an easy CGI thing. You could just do that with computers, no big deal. But this is 1988. So that was done practically. So what they did was they glued these like latex bladders, like balloons. They glued it to my face, but then they had tubes running from my face to the ground, and there were special effects people laying on the ground, blowing through these straws, essentially, to expand my face. And I think the take that we used, I said, okay, last take, just blow up my face until it explodes. So they just blew up my face until like it exploded on my head. And we used everything up until the frame where it explodes.
Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Hey!
I have had a polka medley on virtually every album. I think there may be 2 that I somehow didn't put a polka medley on. The medleys allow me to poke fun at a lot of songs all at once. It's easier for me in a way because I'm not having to come up with funny lyrics. I mean, it's the arrangement that's funny. So I get to focus on the music part of it and to find the humor through the instrumentation. That exercises a muscle that I don't really get to exercise that much with the straight parodies. Polka Face, I think, was the first actual music video that we created for one of the polka medleys, because prior to that, I had these kind of pirate videos where I would literally take the original videos, you know, of the original artists and speed them up so they would match my singing. So we did, and we couldn't release those officially because I stole them. But for Polka Face, we did an Anajam. I found like a dozen or so animators that I really thought were amazing. And I said, you do this song, you do this song, you do this song. I didn't even ask what they were doing. I just said, have fun. And then we just cut it all together, and that was the video.
A malpractice suit. Hey, like a surgeon. Cutting for the very first time.
It's a personal policy of mine never to let somebody else suggest a parody idea. I have somebody going through my fan mail and taking out all the song suggestions, so I just don't want somebody else saying, oh, I gave Al that idea. The one exception that I made was Madonna, because as legend has it, and I've told the story 1,000 times, but Madonna was talking to a friend of hers one day in New York City, and just offhandedly said, oh, I wonder when Weird Al's gonna do Like a Surgeon. And her friend knew my manager, and word got back to me, and I thought, not a bad idea. The most memorable thing about that day was the lion. There was a lion in the video because there was a lion in Madonna's, like a Virgin video. For no apparent reason, we had to have a lion in the hospital just roaming the halls. It was funny and random, but I will say that we lost a lot of our extras that day. A lot of the actors that were playing random people in the hallways. As soon as the lion was on set, they said, yeah, I don't think this is worth my $50 a day. I think I'm going home now. But it was a fun video to do. You know, I writhe around a lot on the floor as a hobby. It's a personal thing that I like to do, and it was nice to be able to use that in a music video. Hardware Store is a completely original song. It's not a pastiche or anything. Although, in all honesty, it started out as a pastiche. I won't tell you of which band because then it's going to wind up as a Wikipedia entry. But it kind of went in a different direction as it was being written and being recorded. And we decided, oh no, this is just like an actual Weird Al original. I wanted to write a song that was like impossibly fast. You know, like impossible to do live. Because again, that became one of my most popular songs, and people are like, when are you gonna play Hardware Store live? It's like, it's hard to do that live. It's hard to do that bridge in 4-part harmony. It would be hard enough for me to do it, but for the rest of the band to like sing in perfect sync in 4-part harmony, probably not going to happen. The number 27 has become sort of an in-joke with my fans because I don't know how it started really. I guess I wrote a song or two that had the number 27, and people, back in the day said like, why the number 27? And instead of answering them, I just kept using the number more and more, throughout my career until it became like this in-joke. So it's sort of like when you see the number 27, it's just sort of like a little secret handshake with the fans. I'm Weird Al Yankovic. Thanks for watching, and these were my iconic tracks.
Oh boy, here comes another fiery hoop. Here comes another opportunity to show what I can do. To dance with the big guns. To dance with the big guns? Is that a thing? High Fidelity. So High Fidelity was my big breakthrough role. I got that because John Cusack was a fan of my band Tenacious D. He thought I was funny and he thought I'd be good in the role. I was nervous about it because it was a movie about rock and roll, and it was about people who worked at a record store and were kind of snobby and had real strong opinions on what music was good and what was bad. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I have a band. I really am a musician. I don't know if I want to make a movie about people criticizing music. Eventually, I realized I'd be an idiot to turn down this role. It's a great character, and I took the plunge, and I had the time of my life. The director, Stephen Frears, is one of my all-time favorites to work with. I called him the Warlock, because he had the thick, juicy, bushy eyebrows, and he looked like he had magical powers, and he was grumpy, and he would oftentimes lay on the ground and just look at the sky and say, I'm too old to be directing this movie. But then he would get up and he'd give me like the perfect piece of direction. And a lot of that movie was just adrenaline for me. I was just like, don't blow it, Jack. This is your big chance. So I came out of the gate windmilling, just acting as though my life depended on it. So the big finale of the movie, there's a concert, and my character, who's only criticized music and musicians the whole movie, is finally up on stage, and he has to actually perform. And there was a lot of talk about what song I was gonna sing, and one of the writers, D.V. DeVincentes, wanted me to sing that Marvin Gaye song. And I was like, why would I do that song? I mean, that song's a good song and everything, but I'd rather do like a bigger, more iconic song like Let's Get It On. And Cusack and DeVincentes were like, let's get it on, dude. That's a big song. All right, if you think you can handle it. I was like, I think I can handle it. And then it came time to sing it and do the scene. And I did it. And the first take, I was a little trepidatious. I was tiptoeing a little bit. I was a little cautious. And it definitely sucked. And I'll never forget, Stephen Frears, the director, said, cut! And he got angry at everyone on the set, except for me. He didn't say anything to me. Extras, this is the finale! day of the film. Everyone on your feet. Cheering excitement. Everyone. Jack, great job. Let's do it again. And I was like, oh, man. I know he's yelling at everyone else, but I think he meant to be yelling at me, but he didn't yell at me. Whatever it was, it gave me this crazy adrenaline goose. And I came out in the second take swinging, and that's the one they used in the movie.
And if you feel like I feel, shout, come on, let's get it on.
Shallow Hal. After High Fidelity, I don't have to like send my headshot and resume around anymore. I start getting offers. One of the big offers I got was Shallow Hal to work with the legendary Farrelly brothers, who were coming off an unprecedented string of successes. You know, they had huge comedic blockbuster movies, Dumb and Dumber, all that stuff with Jim Carrey and with Ben Stiller. They had that huge hit, Something About Mary. So when they came a-knocking, I said yes. And found out that Gwyneth Paltrow was gonna be playing opposite me. So I was stoked because I was a huge fan of hers, not only as an Academy Award-winning actress, but also I knew that she was funny as hell. I saw her on SNL just crushing it, and I was like, she's a real character actor. She's not just like a leading lady romantic interest. She's also like a straight-up badass when it comes to inhabiting different characters. And she really, you know, got inside that one, literally and figuratively, like emotionally, what it was like to be that person. And also she was inside of a suit that was like 3 times her size.
Are you sure that's what you want to do?
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
It can never explain your heart and the touch of my lips. It can never tell you my thoughts.
The cuckoo clock was mine. That was my own little spin on it, my little improvisation. Jason Alexander is in the movie as well, and he's on the Mount Rushmore of television comedy because of Seinfeld. One of the great blustering buffoons of television history. And it was awesome to get a chance to go toe-to-toe with a legend.
What are you doing? I am rescuing you. From what? From what?
It was cool just hanging with him on the set. He had a lot of cool stories. But you know what was cool about the Farrelly brothers is it was a really funny script and a funny story, but it had a lot of emotional underpinnings too, you know. It was about how we judge people by the way they look, and we don't really go beyond just their physical appearance. And it had some cool resonance in that way, and I think that's why it stuck around for all these years. People still compliment me on that movie, and I think that's why it struck a chord. Orange County. So I did this movie, Orange County, which, among other things, was the first time I worked with Jake Kasdan, incredible director of Jumanji, The Next Level, and Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And I had such a blast working on that character. He's kind of a Jeff Spicoli. Watch it, man! He's a stoner, and he's kind of a up big brother to Colin Hanks' character. But it was a real blast to play because he's just sort of living life by the seat of his pants, you know, just following his nose. And he's kind of a train wreck of a human being, but he's also kind of lovable. And it was a great character for me.
Do you want me to call public safety?
Do you want me to get naked and start the revolution?
I had a lot of fun with it. And in that movie, I got to party with Colin Hanks, who's great. We had a great chemistry.
What? Yeah, some cops are right on my ass. Now listen, I've been thinking about it. We are going to Mexico, buddy, right now. Oh, Lance.
I got to work with Ben Stiller in a rad scene.
What's your name?
Joe. John.
What is it?
Joe John.
Name's Joe John?
Johnston, Joe.
Yeah, everybody in the cast and Jake were just incredible to work with. We're very proud of that movie.
You're from Southern California, right? Did you channel any people that you knew to bring that character to life?
I mean, it was just sort of an amalgamation of all the stoners that I knew growing up in Hermosa Beach. But no one in particular. Maybe weirdly closest to myself of all the characters I've ever played. School of Rock. So I did Orange County, right? And Mike White wrote Orange County, and Scott Rudin produced Orange County. And so Scott hatched this plan to give me the lead role in a movie. And he was talking with Mike White about it. I'm like, what can we do? Because Jack's so funny in Orange County. What can we do that would really feature him as the central character? And Mike had this idea. He was like, I think he should be teaching kids how to rock. And Scott Rudin said, go, write it. And Mike just told me, hey, I've been hired to write a script for you, and what do you think about this concept? And I was like, yes, do it, go. And he wrote this script, and I didn't tell him I didn't give him any guidance or anything. I didn't really develop it at all. I just read his first draft was dynamite. It was hilarious. Scott Rudin, the producer, said, I want you guys to meet this director, Richard Linklater. And I was like, I love Richard Linklater. I saw his film Slackers, which is this incredible, bohemian movie about artists and eccentrics in Austin, Texas. And I was like, but that's such like an art film. I don't know if he's really the right director to direct a big, studio comedy. But then we met him, and I was like, oh, I get it. And that's kind of the genius of Scott Rudin, knowing who to put together to make magic happen. Because Linklater was taking it seriously and taking it to another level of believability. He wanted everything to be rooted in reality and to believe that these characters are real and these kids are real and that this crazy scenario could have happened in real life. And that's the combination that made it special. And so he and Mike worked together on another draft, and they worked out the beats, and we rehearsed it a lot. Richard is a theater guy at his core. That's his roots, and me too. So I was super comfortable with that workshop and scenes with the kids and finding new beats. Like that scene where we're all going around the classroom, and I'm assigning people their jobs and their musical instruments, and we basically write a song in the room in one scene without cutting. That was all workshopped through rehearsal, you know, and added into the script.
Oh, that's it. Okay, keep going with that, Zach. Do you remember this thing I taught you a minute ago? It goes like... Yes!
And a lot of the movie had that rad, like, malleable development feel to it. And it's definitely, like, the movie I'm most proud of. That's the one that really, I felt like all the planets aligned. And when we did the first read-through with the whole cast, it was just like, it's just lightning in a bottle. That's the only time I've felt that I was, like, meant to do something. And now the rest is all just gravy and icing. I can die happy. Got my School of Rock.
Did you pick a lot of the music that was used in the film?
Yeah, everyone had their 2 cents, but I would say that Linklater had real strong opinions about certain jams. Yeah, he wanted that Zeppelin song really badly, and he's the one that said, hey, you know, I tried to get Zeppelin music in Dazed and Confused, a movie that he directed before School of Rock, and they said no. So would you do me a favor and just make a video plea, just beg them to use the Immigrant song that we ended up using, the you know, that Viking. And so I did. I begged them on video with a huge audience of extras in the movie theater that we were shooting in, and they all chanted with me, "Led Zeppelin, please bless us with your love." I don't remember what I said. It was ridiculous and off the top of my head. And he sent it over there to them, to England, and it worked. They were like, "Oh, that's funny. That's funny, mate. Yeah, we'll let him use the song." That's not a very good imitation of Jimmy Page, but and it's a great thing because it's one of the best parts of the movie, that song.
Summer, you get an A+ and 50 gold stars!
I didn't do it for the grade.
Give me some of that. Yeah.
I was involved in a lot of the music. Any music that I sang that was like original music, I wrote or had a hand in writing.
So the final song that you perform at the Battle of the Bands,
that song is actually a band called Mooney Suzuki, and that was the song I was having real trouble writing. I was trying to crack the code, and I was like, there's too much pressure. It's the big finale song, the end of the movie, and I wrote a bunch of different drafts, and none of it was working. And then it was a Saturday night, and I went to see the Strokes. The band that opened was called the Mooney Suzuki, and they were so funny and hard rocking. And I was like, God, I wish I could write a song like that. That would be perfect for the end of the movie. And I went backstage after the show, and I said, you guys, I loved your set. I'm doing this movie called School of Rock. Would you want to take a crack at writing the finale song? I got some lyrics here that Mike White wrote. And they're like, yeah, man, I want to take a look at those. I'll give it a crack. I'll give you a text. I'll give you a text if I come up with something. I was like, all right, good luck. And I didn't have high hopes. The next day, I get the text with a rough of the song, and it just killed it, crushed. And I was so excited because I was like, we have the end of our movie. I think I might have cried a little bit. But that just goes to show, like, the stress and, like, the last-minute scrambling that can go into making a movie, because we were already making the movie at that point. We didn't have the ending song. So it's crazy the kind of turmoil that you can put yourself through making these kind of movies, but thank God we got it. Thank you, Mooney Suzuki. King Kong So coming off of School of Rock, I was just like riding high on a cloud. I was like, things couldn't be better. I just like had a home run of a movie that I'm super proud of, and everybody seemed to love it. And when my agent was like, what do you want to do now? What kind of movie you want to make? I was like, I don't know. She's like, who do you want to work with? And I was like, well, I just saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and God, those movies are so good. If I could ever be in a Peter Jackson film, but I know that's never going to happen. And then like the next day, I get a call from my agent saying, dude, Peter Jackson wants you to be in King Kong. I was like, what? No. Really? And she said, yeah, you got to go meet him. I was like, well, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to go meet him. I'm going to blow it. I'm going to say the wrong thing. And I went and met him, and they didn't want me to audition or anything. It was he and his wife and their writing partner. They just wanted to show me like an animated sort of version of the end of the movie when King Kong is up on top of the Empire State Building fighting off the airplanes, the bi-wing planes. And it was just a beautiful sequence. I got chills watching it. And they said, so do you want to be in our movie? And I was like, yes, yes, I do. So then we go off to New Zealand, and it's a long shoot. We're there for like 6 months, which is twice as long as a normal movie, because it's just huge and sprawling. And I was in heaven. Loved being in New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand, beautiful country. Going to work every day, it was just, I didn't want it to end. Like when we got to the end of the shoot, I'm not ashamed to say I shed a couple man tears, because I just wanted to live there and never stop making King Kongs. So the huge scene where I'm fighting off all those prehistoric insects and disgusting flesh-eating bugs. Usually when you do a big special effects scene like that, they say very precisely, walk 3 steps and then swat at this tennis ball and then look up because another thing's coming. But this time, Peter Jackson was like, forget all of that. Just walk into this set and it looks like a disgusting prehistoric, like oozing landscape. And just pretend like there's literally thousands of man-eating bugs coming at you from every direction and just go off. Just be swatting around it for your life. And we'll just add all the special effects later. And I was like, wow, okay. It was such freedom. I didn't have to worry about blocking. I just could let my imagination run wild. And that's basically what that scene is. We're all just like swatting at monsters from our subconscious mind. It was really fun to shoot. And incredible cardio. I'm gonna start a new exercise class called Killing Man-Eating Bugs. Nacho Libre. So Nacho Libre was an incredible opportunity to work with amazing filmmaker Jared Hess. I was such a huge fan of Napoleon Dynamite. And I got the call that he wanted to collaborate. And I said, okay, meet me at the top of the parking lot over at the ArcLight Theater. So we met there. It was a weird place to meet. I don't know why I wanted to meet there. There's a nice view of the city. I thought it would be a good place for an epic power meeting, looking at the view of the Los Angeles skyline. And he told me the idea of this guy that had 2 lives. One life that was just for the Lord, and this other secret life that he has where he loves wrestling. But they can't coexist. You know, a man of the Lord cannot live a life of, violence. So he's torn, his soul is torn. And the way that he described the world was so funny and rich. I was worried though. I was like, dude, he's a Mexican character. I don't know if I should play that character. And he told me that he had a plan for that, was that my father was Swedish and my mother was Mexican, and I was born in Mexico and I grew up there, but that's why I'm a gringo. I wouldn't have to, you know, do any of the things that would be considered spicy. So we dove in head first and just had a ball. And it was such a beautiful location. We filmed all in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Hey, listen to me. Hey, mucho take it easy. I need your help. And get this. Take out the legs. Listen to me. Today, I have the chance of a lifetime. But first, I need a man.
Get off me!
So me and Hector start off as enemies, and over the course of the film, we become best friends. And also we have philosophical differences. I am a man of the Lord, and I believe in God and faith. And he's a man of science. He only believes in science. But somehow we still work together to become one of the great wrestling tag teams of all time.
I don't want to get paid to lose. I want to win!
I do get a lot of people saying, "Get that corn out of my face."
Get that corn out of my face!
Chancho, let me borrow some sweats. That's another good one. And a lot of that is just imitating Jared Hess. The director has an incredible talent at doing voices and character work himself. And I always told him, dude, you gotta be the star of a movie. You're so funny. And he has no interest in that. Doesn't want to get up in front of the camera, but it's one of the things that makes him such a great director. Even they say you're never supposed to do it, but he gives the best line readings. And sometimes I would even say, let me hear how you would say it. And he would say it, and I would just bust a gut laughing so hard. He made it really easy. I recommend working with Jared if you want a really hilarious performance. And I really worked my ass off learning how to wrestle. It wasn't without injuries. I at one point sustained a bad gash on my eye diving out of the ring, and I hit my head on some of those folding chairs, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. And the producer said, hey, he's an actor. He's got to be able to use his face. Let's not just get a surgeon. Let's get the best plastic surgeon in Mexico over here as soon as possible. And this incredible plastic surgeon came to the hospital, and she was dressed in a full ball gown. She had come straight from like a fancy event where she was in a ball gown, and she did the surgery on my eye. And as you can see, she did incredible work. You can barely see it. Can't see it really at all. Yeah, thank you. Wherever you are, incredible surgeon. Tenacious D in the pick of destiny. Well, you know, my whole career kind of got jump-started by Tenacious D, because that's how I got High Fidelity, my big breakthrough role. And I always got a special satisfaction out of doing Tenacious D, because it was the one job that I had where I was the writer, director, you know, auteur of the project. And you got a special source of pride with that, because you're not just a puppet in someone else's game. Even though, you know, all movies are a little collaborative and you get to put your 2 cents in, Tenacious D was my baby, you know. So even while my career was taking off and I was getting all these big Hollywood movie roles, I always kept the burner going for Tenacious D, and in between movies, working with Kyle on new material and new songs. And we realized that we were at a crossroads. It was time to take it to the next level. We had already done a TV series, a little limited HBO series. We did our big album, and it was time to make Tenacious D the movie. And we worked really hard on writing that story, and we're like, hey, what should it just be like another weird adventure of Tenacious D? Or what? And we realized, no, it had to be the origin story of Tenacious D. Where did we come from? And it had to be the true story of exactly the way it went down, with some extra details to make it more exciting. Like, we never actually met Satan at a crossroads, but we had to put that in there to make it, give it a little extra rocket sauce. Yeah, it was magical. We got everyone we wanted. I wanted Meatloaf to play my dad. We wanted Ronnie James Dio to be in there to be my inspiration. We got Tim Robbins to play the creepy stranger. Everybody that we asked said yes. And we made the exact movie we wanted to make. We made a kick-ass theme song music video to promote the movie. We went on SNL. We did everything you could do, and then the movie came out and nobody went to see it. And we were devastated. But we were still proud of the movie, you know? And over the years, it's been like, what has it been, like 12 years now? 13 years? People still come up to us and tell us how much they love the movie. And when we play concerts all around the world to thousands of people, they all know every word of the songs from The Pick of Destiny. So it really has sort of built a cult following over the years. Just because something doesn't get, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and 0 people go to see your movie doesn't mean that it has to be the end of the story. If you love the work, that's all that really matters, because it can find an audience further down the road. The holiday. So I had done Nacho, The Pick of Destiny, King Kong, and then I got this offer for this movie that was a lot different in tone. It's like softer. It was sweeter. It was a romantic comedy, but it was really well written. And I was like, oh, you know what? My mom's gonna love this one. And it was also an opportunity to work with Cate Blanchett. No, sorry. Kate, hold on a second. And it was also an opportunity to work with Kate Winslet, the great. Not to be confused with any other Kate. Winslet. And I was like, wait a second. This isn't really gonna happen. Kate Winslet's not gonna do a movie with me. She's gonna go from Leonardo DiCap to Jackety McBlackety? And yes, she was.
Hey, I got you the best drink in town, but I didn't know if you liked a little dollop of whipped cream or a big dollop, so I got both, and you can have each one. Well, hello, big dollop. Hey, you look great, by the way.
Thanks.
Really great.
Thanks, I'm feeling good. I've been working out with Arthur. What?
No, I'm sure it's an awesome workout. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to picture it.
Okay, well, the workout's not that great with the conversation. Stop laughing.
I was the big winner there, because just getting to be in a movie with her, and cameras are rolling, and I'm looking across at one of the best actors living, and in her eyes are the reality of the character, and she's just like a pro on another level. So I learned a lot just from like doing scenes with her and watching her and how committed she was and how real she was. I mean, that's not really something you can learn. You can't learn to be charismatic like that. You gotta be born with it. But just her level of commitment was infectious, and I felt like I picked up a lot of that energy, you know. Tropic Thunder. So Tropic Thunder was a rad project that dropped in my lap. Ben Stiller was gonna do this big epic comedy out in Hawaii. Sounded like paradise.
Show me where the drugs are! Don't judge me!
The cast was intense. You got Danny McBride, but this is before Eastbound and Down. So people didn't really know what an incredible firecracker of an artist he was yet.
Just say no to this, you drug-making midget.
And you got Robert Downey Jr., but this is before Iron Man. This is after his like scandal, and it was like his career was over. So he was on the comeback trail at that point. People didn't know he was about to explode and be the biggest superhero movie star in the world. There's a lot of people that were like getting ready to pop in that movie. You could feel it on the set. There was a lot of electric energy. The movie itself was groundbreaking in that it was super dark and funny and real, like cinematography was Academy Award winning level. There's a lot of things you had not seen before in a comedy. And it was hard. Comedies are supposed to be super easy, but dude, the locations were remote. You say, oh, you're filming in Hawaii. Oh, that must be really chill. That's probably paradise. But every day, dude, we had to get in a weird Jeep and drive over hill and dale, like really intense landscapes, mud spraying, for like an hour and a half to 2 hours every morning. You get out there and then get into your costume and makeup and work. And we were like slogging, screaming bloody murder, hiking up mountains, and doing really intense scenes. But at the end of the day, it was worth it because it was funny as hell and really original. But the scenes that I remember the most are the ones where I felt like I was actually gonna die. I was on the back of a gigantic water buffalo at one point.
你怎么把身体给飞了的？
我发现我用一条龙牌到你和你这道天理。Les, don't let him take me off the yak.
It was carrying me around a mountain pass. We were on like our 13th take, and I didn't blame the water buffalo because I'm heavy and it didn't want me on its back. And it just started bucking. I was like, I want you off my back right now. And it started bucking bronco. And I was like, oh, and they were like, cut. And I was like, I can't stop him. Ah! And I went flying, flip, ass over tea kettle, somehow miraculously landed between two big boulders. A little wind knocked out of me, but no lacerations, no injury. Miracle. I should have died. And then Ben Stiller, is everyone okay? Can we take it from the top, guys? I was like, F you, we're not taking it from the top. You get on the buffalo. And I just walked off the set. I thought justifiably. I didn't think I was being a diva at all. And then Ben realized, dude, I didn't know that you almost died. I didn't know what happened. I didn't see it. You weren't even on camera. I was like, it wasn't even on camera? Because when something like that happens, you want to know that at least you got some rad footage. No, it went off the road and the cameraman was like, no, this shot's not good over there. I'll keep the camera here. Those cinematographers never want to their shot. No. Anyway, sore subject. Turns out, though, that water buffalo was pregnant. That's why it was freaking out. No one knew because she wasn't showing. And the baby's fine. And guess what they named it? Jack Black. Nice. So if you ever meet a big-ass water buffalo named Jack Black, you'll know what's up. Jumanji, welcome to the jungle. Yeah, I love Jumanji, the original Jumanji with Robin Williams, Kirsten Dunst, and the rest. There on Jumanji Isle. Incredible movie. Incredible performance by Robin Williams because he thrived in characters and scenarios that were extreme. Because he's such an extreme, like 100 miles a minute brain of a comedian. It's like he's from another planet. So he's playing Mork from Mork. It fits his personality because it's like, what are you? How do you do this? And in Jumanji, that movie, he's this guy coming out of the game. He's been in the jungle for 20 years, barely surviving, and he's insane. And it works because that's like right in his lane, because he's got some insanity to him, you know? That's what makes him so exciting as a performer. And that's why Jumanji, the first one, kicked so much ass, is because You got Robin Williams at the peak of his powers and the perfect role for him, you know. So we get an opportunity to revisit Jumanji. It's a big title, big shoes to fill, but it's a great take. The script is electric, and what's really the best thing about it is reading it, knowing that you've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah. What's up?
Oh,
Merry
just
Christmas.
saying hi. Merry Christmas. Yeah.
No, I'm just watching
Um,
videos.
Cool.
Having coffee. What's up?
Apparently, I got a referral from one of the randomizers. So I got one of the Argo MPUVs with Lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Which is now a $25 C8R Pisces. So, happy Merry Christmas to me.
There you go. Nice. How'd you get that?
Very happy with that. Huh?
How'd you get that referral?
The referral code randomizers.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Oh yeah. Put your referral code in there, and there's like, I mean, there's a chance. It's not a very good chance because someone who's new to the game has to know that there's a referral code randomizer and go use it. But I guess I finally got one. You have to re-enter your referral every like 3 or 6 months or something like that. And I had done it a little bit before in IAE, so I guess lucky me.
Yeah, no.
The first time in all these years that I've gotten it. Not that I've been consistently re-entering it, but
yeah,
great timing for a referral.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was also my 5th one, so I got a PTV as well, the little golf cart.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I got that too with my Constellation package.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your Christmas is just hanging out. I forget that you're 3 hours behind me, so it's 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be chilling all day.
Nice.
No plans. All my family's in Maryland.
Yeah, I'm gonna go visit with my neighbors because we've been snowed in here until like today, and even then it's not very good. So no one's going anywhere. Man, I just wanted to stop in, say hi, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, man. Let me know if you're around later.
Okay, I will.
All right, dude.
Later.
Kevin Hart in those roles. It was like, those guys are going to be hilarious. I could just see it. I heard their voices while I'm reading it.
You're telling me that you're Spencer? I am Spencer. I'm Spencer. Ah!
Yep, that's Spencer.
And they're offering me the role to be the most popular girl in school. And I was like, I know how to be the hot chick from high school. I know, for some reason, I know how to do it.
Oh my God, you guys, there's like literally a penis attached to my body right now. Martha, come look at my penis!
And it was just like, I hope I get this part. I mean, I know I've been offered the part, but it feels too good to be true. Like at the last minute, but I got it, I kept it, and we made it. And just as I had anticipated, grand slam home run. Felt good. Feels good to connect.
Do you have a lot of fun playing that hot chick character?
I don't know. I mean, it's just, like it comes natural.
The fact that I'm not Instagramming this right now is insane.
Here's the thing about Jumanji, though. Here's the thing about Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And it was something that I realized that we were bringing to the table, because the first Jumanji, it's this little kid plays Jumanji, the board game, and gets sucked into the game. You don't see him. Cut to 20 years later, he comes out of the game, and he's like, the jungle, I've been in the jungle. But you never see what he saw for those 20 years. But in our movie, you're going into the game. You're going into the jungle.
I think we got like sucked into the game.
And I was pushing early on. I hate to toot my own horn, but I basically named the movie because I was like, you guys, that's the difference. This movie is, we're in the jungle. It should be called Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And one of the marketing dudes was like, Jack's got a point there. Anyway, now I feel dirty for having taken credit for the naming of the movie, but it's true. I named it. Jumanji, The Next Level. Jumanji, The Next Level is all about the new elements. Danny DeVito, Danny Glover, Kevin, and Dwayne playing those new old characters is so perfect. And it really is my favorite part of the movie are these new elements because they kick so much ass. And Dwayne and Kevin are perfectly suited to those roles because they are bickering old farts. You know what I mean? They fight each other all the time, but they love each other. But they hate each other, but they love each other. And it's perfect. And I think that's what Jake and the writers were thinking. They were like, how can we capitalize on this insane relationship that they have? And how can we use that and harness it? And yeah, it's bickering old dudes that have this love for each other. And of course, you know, we got Awkwafina in there, and she's a dynamo. She's incredibly funny, talented character actress. Those were the things I was most excited about. The trio of new rocket sauce. My part, I got to play a new character, and I was scared about it. You know, I was like, this is going to be a real challenge. I don't know if I can pull it off. And you know, I had the same fears and concerns with Nacho Libre. I was like, I don't know if I should play this part. There's a spice in there if I get it wrong. But I felt really good about my performance. I felt like I really found the voice and the character, and I was really proud at the end of the day what I was able to come up with. I'm excited for people to see it.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Great Scott! I'm Christopher Lloyd here, talking with GQ about some of my iconic characters. Back to the Future. I got the script, read the script, and I discarded it, something you don't usually do. And a friend of mine who was there said, you know, I never did that when I was in New York. No matter how remote the possibility that I might be cast, I'd show up. So I thought, yeah, she's right. So I got it out of the way straight from a basket. And I went back and met Bob Zemeckis. And it all came true.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
He was always like 1 second away from a crisis, and the whole universe as we know it will collapse if you mess up the time-space continuum. So there's that pressure, and also I used to read about scientists like Einstein. I read Einstein biography and a couple of others. People get so involved, you know, in something, and then they're getting on a bus, and bingo, E equals MC squared, you know? And I felt the doc had a lot of that in him.
That was the day I invented time travel. I remember it vividly. I was standing on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a vision, a picture in my head, a picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Well, I usually try to stay in character, you know, without being passed away, but just to hold on to it. I remember one time when I was starting out filming, I had a fairly tricky scene for me at the time. It was a master shot. And finally they got it, what they wanted, and I felt great. I went to craft services, and then they said, now we're going to do the close-ups. And I was like, oh my God, because I was done already. You know, I didn't think about it. So I just try to stay focused, whether I'm sitting in my trailer, waiting, or whatever, because I want to be there when the moment comes. I did not do that. I did not do that from up 4 flights. That's a stunt guy did that. He did a stunt once on the Statue of Liberty where he was on a flagpole up on top, and the flagpole be released and bend down to some ledge or whatever, and he'd drop off. And he did that. You know, I was crazy. And he said the only thing he was afraid of is that the pole would snap. Otherwise, everything was fine.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
There was another actor, and Michael came in after we shot for 6 weeks. They just decided that they needed somebody with a comic flair, you know. And Stoltz is a wonderful actor. I had no idea there was a change coming. One night we were shooting in the mall, the beginning sequence. We were asked to come to one of the trailers at 1 o'clock in the morning. And Spielberg was there, and he made the announcement of the change. My biggest fear was that, because I was really working to get Doc right. I was the starter. I thought, I don't know if I could get it up to do that again. So I was worried about it, but it all worked out. Michael, we had a chemistry which lasted the whole time. We could come back after a break and it would just be there. You know, you didn't have to work for it. So that was great.
Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. Both of you.
We will, Doc.
Stand back.
You know, 3 or 4 or 5 years, it sank in that this dust doesn't stop. I mean, kids who saw it when the film first came out grew up and had kids they began their lives with it. And so many people have come up to me and saying how I made their childhood, or the film made their childhood, or they became engineers or scientists or surgeons or whatever from the effect of the film on them. And nothing else I've done has had that kind of impact.
Morning. Well, oh.
Oh, jeez.
I knew a little bit. You know, I hadn't been watching, but I've seen the characters. I thought it was kind of fun, you know, kind of cool. I just thought it'd be great to see the world of Rick and Morty and Doc and Marty somehow collide out in some galactic, hundreds of millions of miles away. And suddenly, that could be fun. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I went to New York right out of high school, and I was in New York until Cuckoo's Nest, until after it opened. And I just got to a point where I felt some actors don't make the transition from theater to film. And that maybe, because I went up for films. I'd be sent up, nothing. And then they came to New York to cast One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I was submitted, auditioned. I may have auditioned twice, I'm not sure. And then that's that.
You know what, Hardy? You're some kind of morbid asshole or something.
Yeah.
Asshole. Makes you feel peculiar. Been talking about your wife ever since I can remember. You know, she's on your mind and blah, 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 blah.
It was great because I think most of us were there about 2 weeks before we started shooting, and we go to the various areas of the facility, people in for different levels of emotional problems. And we sat in on meetings, actually, like the ones in the film. So it was great. It was really helpful. It was said that over time, we were there for 12 weeks. Many of the staff felt some of the cast needed to be institutionalized.
Look, come on. I can be pushed just so far, see? You touch me once more. Just touch me once more. Just once more, huh? Just once more. Just touch me once more.
Game, Hardy.
Just touch me once more, you... Oh, Jesus!
So they had to completely shift the schedule around But I remember when we picked up the scene again after he came back, which was about maybe 3 weeks later or whatever, I couldn't get into the groove. I couldn't get back there. I couldn't find my way back into the scene. I was aware of it. Nicholson kind of came over to me, just, you know, nonchalant, he was messing around. And he said something to me that put me right back there, right back in the scene. I was like, saved. I was in Boston after Cuckoo's Nest opened. I was by myself. I had dinner. And this group of, they were all Scottish, the kilts, the whole deal, bagpipes, about 4 or 5 of them, going by and then coming by another way. I mean, they were just slowly going all over the place. And late at night, like 1-ish in the morning, one of them comes down, still in his gear, with playing the bagpipe. And I just stopped to watch him go by, because it was kind of surreal. Suddenly he looked at me and said, I know you. You were in the one who flew over the Cuckoo's Nest. Taxi, Cuckoo's Nest came out, and you know, I got an agent in Beverly Hills. I was still living in New York, and I just packed up and came out. And I had lunch with the guy, and I was asked to sign. But I didn't want to do any sitcom. I had a kind of a attitude, acquired in New York, growing up there and everything. Doing a sitcom, you know, what do you want to do that shit for? My new agent would send me up to meet other people at other sitcoms. And he would say, just, you know, go up and meet him, you never know, down the road. You know. I said, okay. And then I went up for Taxi, and that ruined my life.
Well, boss, I'm back from my vacation.
You didn't happen to run into your brains while you were out there, did you?
No, but I wasn't really looking.
What I remember most about it, every once in a while on a Friday, because we do the show Friday nights, and there'd be a live audience, and we have complete run-through, costumes, everybody would be there, writers, you know. Now we got a break for dinner, get back in time. But there'd be something that needed a solution, some not working, and so we'd frantically work on that scene. And so they worked on that scene, you know, to come up with a tag on the scene, the right line. And I was sitting there, I was still very new to this process. So I'm just like, you know, I'm in the fishbowl. And so they'd say, try this. So we'd do the scene. Didn't work. Try that. And somebody came up with that. I don't think it was a writer. It was somebody up in the ropes or somewhere. Somebody came up with that. Big no, it worked.
What does a yellow light mean? Slow down. Okay. What? Yellow light mean? Slow down. Okay.
What was that like working with Tom Hanks?
We didn't have any direct conversation, but we were bouncing around. As I remember, kind of in somebody's room at Harvard being assholes.
Don't you understand, huh? I mean, all the studying, all the books, in all the libraries, and all the gymnasiums. I forgot my thoughts.
He was early on in his career, but I remember somebody saying, that's Tom Hanks. I didn't know that yet. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
Kapla Jawi. Angweje.
It was kind of a trip. They actually had a book, a dictionary of Klingonese. It was about that thick with all the word, meanings, pronunciation, use in a sentence, like a regular Webster's.
A failure. The most powerful destructive force ever created. You will tell me the secret of the Genesis torpedo.
I have no knowledge.
Then I hope pain is something you enjoy.
How do you feel you've been able to get into the mind of these more villainous characters?
Well, maybe I'm a repressed criminal. It's just an outlet. I don't know, I enjoy it.
Give me what I want, and I'll consider it.
You fool, look around you! The planet's destroying itself!
Yes, exhilarating, isn't it?
I mean, Captain Kirk, with that stuff I was wearing and the look of the face, and I have a struggle with a huge worm. And all that. I mean, that's kind of fun. The Tender Bar. Well, I got a call saying that I was being offered this role, and I got the script. I read the script. I found my grandpa. I felt I could do something with that. I liked the character, so I was very excited. You all end up back here.
You are a stingy, crazy old bastard. You are not stingy with money.
Haven't got any.
You are stingy with love.
I didn't do that.
Girls become wives and mothers. That was his point of view.
You became one of them.
Oh, shut up, you old turd!
He bought this house. He does nothing to improve it or take care of it. And he has a family, none of whom seem to be able to make enough money to have their own house. So they're all in there, and it's not what he wants. He wants them to do as well as they can under the circumstances. And I just feel he feels a lot. He feels for them, whether it's the kid or his wife, or brother, whoever. He feels for them. But it's hell a lot of the time. It's from a woman who earns $30 a day.
And after college. At Harvard or Yale, you are going to law school.
So you can sue your father for child support.
No, so he can help you with your fines about the septic tank.
I like, how diverse Grandpa is, farting away. I haven't seen one of those around. So I feel I broke new ground, and I love that about him. And in the novel, there's some little pieces about him that aren't in the film simply, because they couldn't put everything in there. But yeah, he's a piece of work. Our educational system, and indeed our society as a whole, was destroyed in the 19th century by the German influence.
Really?
Ability as a concept turned into a mechanical, empirical construct. But he really does love the kid and really sees potential there. And he tells the kid, your mom's got something there that's going to be taken out. Be nice to your mom. He's got a heart. Regardless of a system in place, he's the likeliest to be able to leave my house on his own abilities. It's like working with the A-team. They just, all of them are so wonderful, so talented, so committed, all of us to George. That was wonderful. I mean, you do your work, come in prepared, and he just brings it out. There's a lot of heart from everybody, which I think makes the film so good.
One year ago, our lives were shattered. But we have not forgotten. united in the face of the Vandal threat. We have dedicated ourselves to creating the universe we have always wanted. A safe and secure UEE for all. Thanks to your continued support in the sale of war bonds, the UEE is proud to announce the Militia Mobilization Initiative, authorizing the sale of certain military-grade ships to ensure that civilian militias are properly equipped to defend the Empire in times of need. We will ensure a brighter future for our children. At the forefront of that effort is RSI's newest ship, the Polaris. Combining devastating firepower and searing speed, the Polaris-class corvette is effective against a wide variety of aggressors and scenarios. From delivering humanitarian aid to tactical operations, the Polaris's ability will make it an essential part of any fleet for years to come. But the Polaris is only the tip of the spear for this grand initiative. A full line of other ships are now available for a limited time. And to support faster mobilization and operational effectiveness, fleet formations are being offered in discounted pre-designed ship teams. So stand in solidarity with the brave men and women who put their lives on the line and join them in protecting the dream that is the UEE. Answer the call today.
We are drawn towards the familiar. It is safe, reliable. But it can shackle us to the ordinary when in our souls we long to strike out to become something new. We started with a simple mantra. Dare to dream. Dare to challenge the expectations of what's come before. To embrace the unique, to put everything on the line. Only when we risk everything can we discover something truly special and redefine what it means to travel the stars. To explore the farthest reaches. To race on the cutting edge. To protect what you love. Say goodbye to the familiar and welcome the brand new Mustang, where risk meets reward.
music and rhythm. And I invite Antonio Sanchez. I'm a huge fan of Pat Metheny, the musician. We became friends. Antonio, a Mexican drummer, has been his drummer for many years. And I said, what about if you just start getting, and I have some ideas, and I knew the sequences. So he and I got into a studio in New York like 3 weeks before start shooting. And I was describing to him the images, like the sequence. In this one is a little soft, in this one is a little emotional, this one is very hard. And he was just improvising jazzy. And before start shooting, I got a lot of tracks that informed me during the things about that. And it was kind of pre-editing element for me to be getting, and the actors getting the rhythm and the vibe. Babel was about these 4 stories of characters that will never be physically in the same place. They will never know each other's existence, but no matter how, whatever actions they are doing at that time, it will change and affect the life of each of all the other 3 other characters they didn't know, which is kind of the butterfly kind of theory. So that was an extreme kind of exercise with no physicality, differently from Amores Perros and 21 Grams, and about the impossibility of communication, right? And that's why the Babel title came. Like it's the Tower of Babel as this punishment that we got. And I think we are living now. I think the internet can be kind of that we are supposedly connected, but we speak different language, and we think that we are speaking, we are completely disassociated. Half of that film was shot in Morocco, and we were shooting in very, very, very humble, poor towns near Ouarzazate. So the experience of shooting those scenes there with the non-actors, all of those Moroccan characters were non-actors that I trained with them, and then you are putting all these people that has never seen a camera, and with Kate Blanchett to perform the veterinarian and all that scenes that were very intense, where she's bleeding, and all those circumstances that I was basically exposed to, and exposing all these actors and all the crew, that we need to achieve some truthfulness about that. It was an extremely beautiful experience, challenging one, but at the same time was informing while I was doing that I was in Babel. The language was not helping to get what I needed, and it was just emotional things that were able to get these guys to understand what I was needed. And once they get into the emotion, it was amazing. But the language, the words were useless, and that was super interesting about it, that it was just about the emotional exercise or an images that was triggered to them. I remember there was this guy that was supposedly the guy that shot to Kate, and he has an amazing face. Like a mysterious guy, but when he laughed, he was with no tooth, and he was the most sweet, almost little kid, but he was an old man. And he couldn't cry, and he supposedly has to cry in the moment that the police arrive. And I have this incredible actress that is Hiam Abbas, which is Palestinian, and she was helping me to translate to them. And suddenly Hiam said something about her mother. And apparently he never went to his mother buried. And in the moment that he got that image and that memory, and we could penetrate that, boom! And a burst of crying, and it was truthful, and then we start shooting. And then he couldn't stop. So I said, okay, we finished. So what I'm saying, it was very beautiful how emotions are the universal language, you know. Amores perros. This was powerfully written by Guillermo Arriaga. I developed with him for 3 years, and we talk endlessly about, first of all, you know, the different relations between Chivo, which is the old man, whose family is the dogs. He lives with this family of dogs, and the affection that he feels for them. And then you have these other characters, which in a way, it's a family dog that suddenly turns to be a great fighter. And then you have other guy, which is basically the dogs are utilitarian to make money and to savage them, to destroy them, you know, to use them as warriors. So yes, there's a different attachment to dogs or animals as in real life happen. The difficulty was how I could make those relations feel real. So we have a lot of months in advance with a great trainer, Larry Casanova was called. And this guy, he was an animal lover, and he trained all these animals, and he got these street dogs to, I put Emilio Echeverria, the actor of Chivo, to really spend months with these guys in order that when he walks, the dogs were really attached to him. So you can see that in the film. And then obviously Gael, Garcia, Bernal, or the other actor, they were terrified about dogs. And these dogs were real dog fight dogs, you know, that are super difficult to control because they are beasts that they can really bite you. And we have several events that were very close to have an accident, but they have to overcome their fear. I think every film until Birdman, I shot it chronologically by the script, because for me it was very important to be understanding and having the opportunities to maybe shift things depending on how things were evolving, and to have the actors understanding their own journey in a chronological order, very radical, even when it was a nightmare for producers and locations. But I think for me has been crucial to make a film in a chronological order, to be able to be growing with it. 21 grams.
How'd it go?
Not good, Reverend. In one ear, out the other.
Be patient. All it takes is one sheep and 1,000, Jack. Come on.
Afternoon, Reverend. Hey, Wolf, you still having that birthday party Wednesday?
My place, Bubba.
We were developing this script, and there was this characteristic of the role that Benicio del Toro played. And there was this religious relation with faith and the way this character was feeling, and I felt that it was very much into these possibilities of shooting the South of the United States, where sometimes religion can get kind of very passionate and reductive in some way, that the relation is like, I'm good, I'm gonna be good, I'm bad, I'm gonna be punished. It was the first city in Memphis that I touched. I embarked myself when I was 17 years in a boat, in a cargo boat, and that was the first city that I hit in the United States through the Mississippi. So anyway, a lot of things was coincide that to make my first American film there. So in a way, it was not planned, but everything started just to point to that direction. And I find myself in Memphis for 6 months shooting this film. And I remember that even talking in English, for me, my English is bad, but at that time it was worse. So for me to explain, I had to have surgery after, because my vocal cords, I was using it differently, because when you speak English, you have to use differently your cords, and they was raspy. So I got into a surgery. At that time, you know, for me, the eyes and the features of somebody is the story of somebody, is the map, is the emotional map, as powerful as any landscape. You know, you can really see a lot of the past, a lot of the fears, a lot of the joy, a lot of the complexity of human being. If you point it out in the right direction with the right lighting, there's a lot to be revealed in one close-up. And there's nobody better than operating the camera handheld, which is very difficult, than Rodrigo Prieto, because he's a painter. You know, the problem with handheld camera is if it's overused, it's already kind of too overused. So there's no reason why to move that. So you just get nauseous about it, or there's no reason. But Rodrigo, in a way, You know, every movement of the actor, every reason to be moved, he moved, or every reason to be stay, he stayed. And we were shooting all the time with 40 millimeters lenses, which was my favorite one at that time. I think Amores Perros and that one, I think we shot it in 40 millimeters all the time, which for me, kind of that's where the vision is. These films were much more about the chances of improvisation and things, and again, capturing with the camera. Very natural, very, 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 very raw. Beautiful.
¿Qué tal? Nosotros, acabo de ver a la chinaza que quería venirse para acá. ¿Dónde lo viste? En fondo, y no me lo niega el cabrón, le tuve que mandar de vuelta para abajo. ¿Dónde están Cheik y Mamadou? Joder, digo, pones orden, cueme o esto se va a la mierda. Te lo he dicho 1000 veces, no se puede vender aquí. Aquí arriba lo tenemos prohibido. Joder. ¿Entiendes?
I think this film reflects a lot of where I was at that time. As a person, you know, I was in a very low kind of thing. I was really seeing all these immigration things going on in Europe, like all these African people completely thrown out in the streets where all these incredible rich cultures are not allowing them. So as an immigrant, I always have been as in Babel on that, or Carne y Arena, the virtual reality thing that I did about immigration crossing the border. It's a theme that maybe because I'm an immigrant is always very close. So I was observing kind of those kind of things. And I was thinking about death. I was turning 50 years old, and I think that hit me. So it's a film that is very deep and personal. It's dark. I'm very proud of it. When it came out, it was trash. It was a disaster. Now it seems that a lot of people say, oh, it's your best film. And I say, well, sometimes films takes time to really, you know, breathe. For me, the exercise here was I have never made a film about one character. And for me, it was terrifying to say, now I have just one character in one film, a narrative that is chronological and much more conventional. The Bardem character, in a way, was, for me, inspiring. This father trying to get care of other peoples and help the immigrate and help their kids and try to get through challenges and being thinking about the others. I start playing with elements that were not real. If we could see the emotion of somebody, how they will look, what are the elements that can be manifested there? So I start playing with that super encounter of the father at the end. And again, it's because maybe my age started inviting me to think about what am I gonna leave here. Bardo.
Es raro estar aquí.
¿Aquí dónde? ¿En la playa?
En México.
No sé de qué hablas.
Sí sabes.
No te entiendo. Aquí están tus primos, tus tíos.
Por eso.
¿Por eso qué?
I have never worked with this kind of material. You know, that I closed my eyes. I recouped some things that were emotionally important, and there was not necessarily truth, as that's why the false chronicle of a handful of truth. Actually, things that I do not understand. So all these things for me was a way to get some events or some personal, intimate things and some collective memories of the things that has made us as Mexicans. I'm bringing there and then lying down. I said, holy shit, I don't know what to do with this. It's a story with no story, but at the same time, I think through fiction in a way and through lie about them and through really that you make, it's a way to heal. It's a way to put light in the darkness. I lived in Mexico 35, 36 years, let's say. So it's my city, you know. It's my town. Obviously, 21 years has passed, so things has changed. It's not the same when I left. But at the same time, it's like an all new friend that you know very well, that you haven't seen in years, and you connect in 1 second. So that's very inspiring. And especially the sound of the city, you know. There's something very beautiful about, and about the soundtrack of Mexico City and the smells. That's what I miss much more. When you live in the United States, you miss that cacayanga, as we said. You know, the relation between Mexico and United States, our stories are completely blended, right, in the last 200 years. But it's a complicated one. And it has been friendly, but very contradictory and very different, with different sides. And there's a lot of open wounds, let's put it that way. And that, the Mexican-American War, as they call it, it was 175 years ago, and it was a very traumatic experience because where I shoot it is the Castillo de Chapultepec, the Chapultepec Castle that was built by the Spanish in the 1600s. And you can tell the story of Mexico basically there, because later, you know, that's where I think the American militaries came in at the end of the war, and they took over and they slaughtered all these little kids. And then this mythology appears that the Niños Héroes, which is kind of a myth that has been built in the narrative of the heroic act they did, but everybody knows that is not true. But in a way, I want to approach this with sense of humor, of how ridiculous both sides of the story, one denying the fact that it was actually an invasion, that they, you know, that time they took half of our country for 15 million pesos. And the way we told our story in our side too is a little bit ridiculous, you know? So in a way, I'm questioning the narratives of both sides with humor in kind of a dream state. And the execution was extremely difficult, I think more difficult than The Revenant. To close the city at the center, nobody has seen downtown like that, because this is the heart of the city. All that sequence where he is walking at night, and there's the sun goes down in the middle of the city with all these people, because there's 120,000 disappearances in Mexico in democracy in the last 10 years, which is kind of how you explain that by I wanted just to, with an image, what we feel about it, how it feels to be a possible victim of that with no reason. And the sun goes down, and all that part that he's walking at night is a day for night shooting, which is a technique that is used, but we need to have a very precise position of the sun and close every street, and has that kind of moonlight sensation. So everything was, we have to really analyze every day to understand what is the light position to get exactly in the top of the buildings, a little, spread of that light. So again, it requires a lot of thought in every shot. We shot it in Zócalo, which is exactly where the Aztec Empire was there. So all the pyramids were destroyed, and those pyramids are the stones of the cathedral. So in a way, it was for me important to be shooting those scenes in the real locations, you know, as a reinterpretation, and actually even with humor too, about things that has been open wounds with maybe not answers.
I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back in a little while. I'm going to turn the stream off. I'll be back.